And hello. It's I don't know what it is. April 23rd maybe. Beautiful day. It's still not terribly warm, so I put on my light puffy, a little windy, a little chill, a little wind chill. We're back at the farm school where I take care of animals. And the topic today might at first seem a little bizarre to you, a little macabre. The topic is evil. Okay, this is a topic that has fascinated me. Oh gosh, I want to say since I was in my early 20s. You know, I'll tell you what the impetus was in a second, but mainly the fascination is more philosophical. You know, people will talk about like some guy, you know, does a mass shooting, and they'll say, "What an evil act," or "He was acting evilly." Sometimes they'll say the guy is just evil. But my fascination is, what if we put a capital letter on the E? Instead of using evil as an adjective, what if we talk about the personification of evil? You know, the Christians believe that Jesus was the personification of love, and that he was divine and on earth walking around as a human. Why can't there be the personification of evil? An evil being which, you know, roams the earth, or evil beings. Why can't there be that? Tough one to answer. Very tough one to answer, because you ain't going to find it in the Bible. You're not going to find the answer in the Bible, because the Bible talks about evil. The Bible talks about the devil, how powerful the devil is. So why isn't the devil powerful enough to send an emissary, an evil emissary? So that's the philosophical part. My fascination began with the mass murderer Ted Bundy, who just happened to be our paper boy when I was preteen. He would, my memories of him are hazy. This is in Tacoma, Washington. My memories are hazy of him riding by on a bike, throwing the paper out onto the driveway, every once in a while saying hi to my dad, and once a month he'd knock on the door and he'd ask for payment. And that's basically it. You know, there was no fascination with the guy. He was a teenager who was riding his bike and throwing papers. There was nothing evil in appearance about him. There was nothing evil in the way he acted right then. But then he ends up being one of the most notorious serial killers in our history. I mean, I've written an entire series of novels about this topic. My Shadow series, beginning with Shadows Kill. There's six in the series, yeah. And that's all about the personification of evil. Evil being on earth, taking over different humans and performing evil deeds. So, in case you were wondering, I don't have an answer to the question. I have no idea if evil is personified or not. But I think it's a fascinating topic to think about. When you've got nothing else to do but think about evil and evil acts and evil deeds, you know, go ahead and give that philosophical turn around the racetrack. Have fun with it. But then I was thinking, the way I always do, I was taking it a step further. You know, we talk about evil as in mainly murders and grotesque things, but to me there are other evil acts. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about, and you may disagree with this, and that's fine. You know, we're all friends. We're just chatting. So if you don't agree with me, I can live with that. But to me, this is evil. Let's say you've got Let's say your net worth is $120 billion. Okay, random figure. Now, I don't know about you. There is no way in hell that I could spend $120 billion. Not even if I was just going to be as extravagant as I possibly could be, I don't think I could spend it fast enough to run out of it. $120 billion, you know, it's a hell of a lot of money. Hell of a lot of money. And there are people on this planet who have that kind of wealth. Their net worth is, you know, anywhere from, well, let's just talk about billions. There are, I don't know what, there's, you know, 50, 60, 70 billionaires in, might just be in the US alone. So it'd be difficult to spend $1 billion. It'd be real difficult to spend $120 billion. And here's my question to you. Let's say this guy or this woman, they have a net worth of $120 billion. They've got, I don't know, 200, 300, 400, 500 employees, and their employees are getting paid on average $20 an hour. It's not a living wage. I don't know what universe you live in, but in the United States, you're not going to be able to afford a house, rent or mortgage, food, medical, utilities, transportation. You can't do it on $20 an hour. No way. Not working full time for 20. So let's say, okay, 120 billion. Let's say that someone suggests to this person that he gives all of his employees a $5 an hour raise, which would make it possible for them to at least maybe meet their bills at the end of a month. And what would it do to his 120 billion? Not much. Not much. He could do that for 500 employees, give a $5 an hour raise, and it wouldn't, you know, hardly take anything out of the principal. He'd be making interest so fast on his investments. But he chooses not to do that. Instead, he chooses to make more profits and make more profits for his shareholders. And he says, you know, the employees knew what they were getting when they applied for the job. $20 an hour is the going wage, and that's what I'm going to pay. To me, that's evil. Again, some may not agree with that, and that's fine. But if it's not going to affect your life at all, okay, which it wouldn't, if it's not going to affect your standard of living at all, and you still choose not to pay enough money for your employees to live comfortably, what the hell else is that other than evil? That's greed to the level of evil, as far as I'm concerned. It's a lack of compassion bordering on evil. It's a lack of empathy bordering on evil. I do not understand. I never will. I've never understood greed. I've never understood not being willing to help others. I've never understood that kind of lack of humanity. And those people will say, well, I worked hard for it. I deserve everything that I got. And, you know, nobody was there when I was making the tough investments and trying to make this business grow. And I say, bullshit. Okay, that's beside the point. We all struggle. But once the struggle is over and you're sitting on $120 billion, bucko, I think you're evil if you're not helping other people with it. Especially since you can still live that ridiculously extravagant lifestyle. So what difference does it make? Go out and help people with your money. Just something to think about. Evil. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. All right. Thanks for listening. Over and out.